Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. I'm Jeremy Bailey, your flying realtor, and this is another episode of Tuesday's Tips. Yes, you heard it right. Today is May 5th, 2020. We have Suzanne Caldeira from Guaranteed Rate Mortgage in our virtual studio again with us today. Today we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about changes that are COVID-19 related in the mortgage industry and dispel some myths that have been flying around out there. And we're also going to be talking about unemployment and how that affects the qualification for mortgages. So without further ado, let's jump on over to the virtual studio and let's talk with Suzanne. All right, thank you, Suzanne, for coming on for another episode of Tuesday's Tips. I'm going to pop it up there, Tuesday's Tips. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about any changes that have happened in the mortgage industry, anything related to COVID-19 and unemployment. So, Suzanne, what would you like to start with? What do you have for us today?
Well, let's talk about changes and what you and I have both been hearing, that lending's come to a complete halt. No one's getting mortgages. And I think that's a lot of misinformation. What both you and I have been hearing, Jeremy, is that it's more difficult to get a mortgage and no one's lending and it's coming to a standstill. And I say absolutely not. Yes, there are some people that are on the sidelines. They've decided not to buy, but there's a reason. They might be laid off, or maybe they're worried about their health. But it has not become where lending is at a standstill. If someone truly qualifies, they absolutely can still get a mortgage. And for instance, almost all of our loan programs on purchases are closing in 30 days or less.
Fantastic.
For a purchase. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important that if someone's talking to a loan officer and they're sensing that they're negative about what's going on, then that could be a red flag. That could be a red flag that they're working with a company that's swung the pendulum to something that's extremely conservative. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that we're saying like, woohoo, everyone gets a mortgage. No, if someone clearly qualifies and we've been able to verify everything, then they for sure are going to be getting a mortgage. But as you and I have discussed before, if someone's nervous about their job or they think that they may get laid off, then for sure they don't want to be doing this right now.
Sure. Understood. Okay, how about unemployment? How does unemployment affect someone qualifying for a mortgage? Maybe they've briefly gone on unemployment. Maybe they're back to work now. How does the whole unemployment work into the whole scheme of things when qualifying for a mortgage?
Yeah, it's a good question. If they are unemployed, very direct answer, they can't get the mortgage right now if they're collecting unemployment. Okay. If it was a short period where they collected, then we have the ability to be able to close that relatively quickly just with doing some verifications that they are back to work and getting a pay stub.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Seems pretty simple enough. If you're on unemployment, now's not the time to be purchasing a house or refinancing. If you were on unemployment but are no longer on unemployment, or you think you're going to be coming off soon, now's the time to contact a lender like Suzanne to start putting that whole financing picture, into place so that, we can make sure that they're ready to go when they find a house.
I think another thing that's important is when someone's self-employed, that if they're considering getting a home, that their business is still bringing in business. So if they're not bringing in business, there's going to be more due diligence. So say, for instance, someone owns a restaurant. Okay. Well, that's pretty easy to understand that business might not be bringing in as much as what they normally brought in. So that's going to be scrutinized a little bit more. Or if somebody owns let's say, old school cab company or a transportation company, chances are they're not driving people around anymore. So that's also going to be scrutinized and seeing like, hey, are you still bringing business in? I mean, what's most important is, we love what we do. And I know you love it. I love it. Yeah. But we got to make certain that we're making good decisions and that the consumer is making good decisions about getting home.
Sure. All right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what about in the case where a barber has shut down? I'm using that as an example. And let's say next week they open back up and, they're making money again, maybe not as much, but, they're making a good amount of money. And a month from now, they want to go and purchase a home. Do you see any issues outside of what you've already described in a scenario like that?
No. For instance, what we would look at is They're historical, so we would look at tax returns. We'd also look at what are they bringing in now? So asking for an updated profit and loss, maybe even asking for bank statements showing deposits of, most barbers, hair salons, they're running their business either on Square or on QuickBooks, where they're showing as they're having somebody get a haircut or a dye job or whatever the service might be, that they're actually bringing in revenue and bringing in sales.
Okay. So there are other, Suzanne, we have a lot of realtors that we like to watch each other's video content, support each other, and we learn from each other, quite frankly. How would a realtor that maybe or maybe not has collected unemployment, but they had a great 2018, a great 2019, and that's normally, in my experience, you go by our last 2 years' tax returns when qualifying us for a mortgage. This year, we may not be doing as much work. How does that whole picture, paint that picture for us as to how a realtor like myself would get a mortgage and what you would look at right now?
Yeah, good question. We'll definitely look at the historical data. And interestingly, it isn't always 2 years worth of taxes. Sometimes it's just 1 year worth of taxes. However, if you're collecting, it'd be the same answer as that W-2 person, where it's, okay, Jeremy, you're going to have to put this on hold until you're officially back to work. The other thing that we ask that self-employed person or that realtor, for instance, would be for a profit and loss. So let's see, what has come in so far for commissions. The other thing that we're going to look at is assets. Are you going to have any money left over in the bank? Do you have any pending sales right now? Do you have any current listings right now? What's in your pipeline, as we like to say in both of our industries, for upcoming closings? Okay. So it doesn't throw it completely out of the picture. It's something that's definitely able to be done. And quite frankly, I don't share or blab. I've worked with a lot of realtors on their personal stuff. So yes, there are still people that are either currently refinancing or currently buying homes that are in the industry and are in the real estate industry.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Thanks for the tips. This has been another episode of Tuesday's Tips. We thank Suzanne Caldeira for coming on the virtual studio again with us. We're going to pop her information up here so you have it. And until next time, remember to keep your wings level, and I gotta fly.